That's good.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the very first stream for the Patch 4.7 Weeklies. Today, we're doing Americas. I'm your host, as always, and joined me today is Binzu.
Hello, I'm Binzu. I was the first year EU Prince Cup champion and have been a competitive TCG player for a long time now. I specialize in stall gameplay and I'm happy to be here.
I see we have a swap stall connoisseur today. The absolute pinnacle of stall gameplay, as we all know.
Yeah, swap stalling is the way. So, yeah.
It is indeed. But before we can see any swap stall gameplay, why don't we swap on over our graphic to the tournament schedule? That was a smooth transition. I love it. So here it is. The weekly tournaments are going to be a 5-round best-of-1 Swiss bracket with 35 minutes allotted per round, and if the players go over, it will result in a tie for both players, and both players will be able to bring one deck and one deck only in an open decklist format, and whoever gets 5-0 will be gifted 2 Blessings of the Welcome Moon.
Yeah, and if you do well enough, you will actually qualify for the major tournament, where we have a best of 3 single elimination with a best of 5 finals. You will bring 5 decks and will be able to ban actually a deck from your opponent. And if you actually win, you will get a chance on the prize of the $300 prize pool across all 3 regions.
Whoa. And although that prize pool does sound juicy, I want to have a chunk of it myself. Qualifying for the majors is no easy feat. You must have first participated in the weekly tournament and have a cumulative best score of 8 wins and 2 losses across your 2 best weeks. So that means in order to qualify for majors, you need to have gone either 5-0, 3-2, or 4-1, 4-1 minimum.
Yeah, that does sound like a difficult task, so I'm excited if we actually get to see which deck does it today.
Exactly. We have a lot of new character cards to mess around with, so I'm rather stoked to see what our players have brought. I know you said you were a proponent of stall gameplay. How have the new cards impacted you and your decks?
Yeah, I've actually played like a lot of new stall, but it didn't quite feel right. But we have seen a lot of changes now, and maybe we'll find some stall gameplay maybe today. But since it's new, I propose people will rather play some more aggressive decks.
Oh, yeah, I actually did notice this, but typically when a new patch does come out, players do lean towards the more aggressive stuff. Like in 4.0, we saw a lot of Finally in 4.1 as well, and then 4.2, when that got changed, we saw like a lot of Mew, and then in 4.6, we saw a lot of Tuizon early on, so I think you're right in the fact that we are going to see a lot of aggro decks for now.
Yeah, and I'm actually surprised. We had a lot of the new cards actually been seen through all those tournaments. So I don't think I have seen any card that's not been represented at least once. So that's kind of great.
Oh, that's always good, but we do have some gameplay, so we're going to see if our aggro prediction comes true or if we'll get surprised by some other archetype lying in wait.
Oh, and we actually see a Yoi Mia deck and Diona as well. Leoric making himself play Diona every week, so
yeah, the Leoric is a known factor. Really does enjoy like these Diona decks. He is a Diona main himself, but like Diona is such a weird like value archetype. Doesn't do a lot of damage, but can. I mean, she does like 2 damage base skill, right? But also has some sustain built in exchange for that lesser damage. So it is a really interesting character to mess around with. But Yoimiya is a character that's received a buff recently. How do you think that'll change her?
Yeah, she's been getting a bit of a buff. I've not seen a lot of her, but you can certainly experiment with her. And seems like Leoric already picked up a kill with her, and it seems like he's trying to get one more.
Yeah, like one member of the, Furina already taken down, so won't be able to re-summon the Salon Solitaire members. And both Kokomi and Wriothesley are 6 HP and below, which I believe makes so the Salon members cannot do that second follow-up attack.
Yeah, but it does seem like they want to stall either way, but seeing the Salon member on damage is quite surprising, since from the characters like Furina, Kokomi, and Wriothesley, it does seem like they rather want to stall this out.
This is like one of those slower freeze decks. I know Furina applies so much Hydro, it's actually crazy, but Kokomi there is a little bit surprising over Barbara, that Wriothesley combos really well off of these Hydro, like off-field Hydro characters, because he is able to freeze people with his Cryo Gauntlets, right? He is a Catalyst character, which means that every time he punches, it will apply that aura, and as long as they have Hydro, which a lot of the members of Leoric's party do have, it is basically a guaranteed freeze. Unfortunately for Leoric, the Gambler is coming in a little bit late after the Furina already got lethal, so it's a little bit sad. Won't be able to make use out of it just yet.
Yeah, but now actually Ryo can freeze a lot here, and Diana is very high health, so it will be a bit difficult to actually punch through her. And already with a character down, it does seem like a somehow bad situation. Also, Yunjin's has already bursted, it seems like, so
yeah, we already
normals will hurt a lot.
We already have the 2 flags set up. These are 4 damage normals. That's a lot of damage. Thankfully for Magnac though, Wriothesley does have some built-in sustain thanks to how his elemental skill works, and with the help of treasures as well, this will heal well out of lethal range. Thankfully, yeah. I believe so, at least 2 treasures. Okay.
Well,
7. I think the punch brings him down to 6, and then no, Yoimiya does kill. Okay, never mind, not anymore. Especially not with that Hydro Resonance.
You actually need to heal a lot of damage, since he damages himself, and Yoimiya with Infused and Melt.
And Yunjin really buff as well.
Yeah. So
I mean, Leoric right now calculating whether or not his Yoimiya has enough damage to kill Wriothesley. So it is 3 base thanks to Pyro Infusion, plus 2 from Mel, brings it up to 5, and then plus 1 from the buff, so that is 6 damage. Wriothesley is at 8 HP thanks to Hydro Resonance, so just barely out of range. We'll instead choose the normal attack on the Diona.
Yeah, and we will see if Leoric will be able to punch through there. It's looking quite bad for him at this point. If Magnac actually has some stuff to heal, Leoric probably won't be able to punch through there. And we see that Leoric can't even swap to Yoimiya now, since if he swaps, Yoimiya will just get frozen.
Oh, this is absolutely devastating. What? There's a play for Leoric right now where you Northern Smoke. Oh wait, there's Prohibition still. Never mind, the play was never working out. I was about to say you can Northern Smoke and Yoimiya tune 1 normal attack and then swap Covenant and then NA for 2 dice. But Leoric just didn't have enough cards to tune for that play. Prohibition made it so that didn't matter, so we'll just choose to play it to get that extra dice from Chef Mao. A normal attack.
Yeah. Magnac is probably scared that Leoric has 1 dice extra, so we'll swap stall, and maybe we'll actually see Magnac maybe kill Diona here. Decides to go for the skill.
Oh, that cleanses the cryo too. Doesn't matter though, as Diona someone will just punch back in the end phase.
Yeah.
No follow-up hit from Salon members. Diona lives on 2. And Yunjin talent coming in a little bit late, unfortunately. But that Sweet Manam could do work in messing up these breakpoints.
Yeah. No, though, even though it will probably get cancelled out by Maripede, it will actually just give the dice from Mao, so it's just an extra dice in hand for Leoric. So he will be able to do 3 actions here if he doesn't swap.
Yes, unfortunately, we don't have anything like a Minty Meat Rolls or Northern Smoked Chicken anymore to capitalize off the Covenant of Rock in our hand. So right now, it is just tuning fodder. We don't really have anything to play off of it. Choosing to normal attack. Okay.
Yeah, but
I think this makes sense. I think if Magnac does swap over to Wriothesley, skill would not change any breakpoints. Wriothesley's skill will do 3 damage. That's the freeze reaction. So no matter what, Diona will die in 1 hit. So we'll instead just choose to preserve some of that cryo dice, just in case we're able to get a burst off.
yeah, the problem for Leoric is that Magnac just has all the healing and freedom in the world now. So even if Leoric kills here, Yoimiya will just be frozen, and it looks like a win for Magnac.
Yeah, it does appear to be so. Unfortunately, that normal attack from Diona really does bite him in the back. Kokomi Burst it does 2 base damage, able to take her out. If we steal, she would have lived on 1. This does allow Magnac a free swap over to Wriothesley, and because we get instantly frozen, we can't normal attack a second time. It would have been enough to win, but thanks to that little bit of extra freeze, a little bit of extra healing that we missed out on, Magnac is able to take the win over Leoric.
Yeah, we see the Hydra applications on characters really good. Just applying all of the Hydra is all Wriothesley needs to actually sweep or take the game, because even though you could maybe kill 1 character, if you're frozen, you can't really do anything there.
I think that really is just the strength of freeze. It's been getting a little bit of a resurgence recently with all the magic going on, right? Because before you could just outvalue your opponent with the electro charges, with the melts and whatnot, but now with so much dice, that's becoming increasingly more difficult to do. So players are instead choosing to bring in things like the freeze to disrupt their opponent on that combo tone so they can't make use out of the dice, and I think that is a rather ingenious shift in the meta in order to counteract it.
Yeah, there's been a lot of single carry decks, for example Yunjin, that in often types of decks wants to just solo their entire game. So you can actually just freeze her and trying to just get rid of this whole threat and cut the damage often in half.
Speaking of Yunjin, though, we just saw the strength of Yunjin in that match as a setup character for Leoric, being able to enhance Goimiya's basic attacks to do a god-awful amount of damage. But there is actually a Yunjin solo carry deck, which has the potential to OTK your opponent on round 2. I don't know if you played with it yet, Binzu, but I think you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, there's been 2 versions I've seen. And both of them don't really use any reactions. We've seen it with Seahorse or with Venti, and both of the versions just don't do any reactions and are just Yunjin solo, and they just work somehow.
Yeah, it just works. The raw base damage is quite frankly ridiculous. She does 8 damage on normal attacks. But we do have another match, so let's go into that. Hopefully we do get into the deck, though. 8 damage normal attack Yunjin is crazy.
Yeah, if she gets the setup, she can often, one-shot a character, and that is devastating if you need to play around Yunjin killing you from 8.
Now imagine they bring in a Heavy Strike.
Yeah, Heavy Strike would actually be a 10 damage kill, but it's probably a bit too difficult to manage since you also need an empty hand after.
Yeah, you need the setup as well. So the setup just isn't quite there, but I think it would be hilarious.
Yeah.
But I mean, Yunjin's probably going to be one of our standout characters, at least early on. As we said, like players do tend to favor more aggressive decks because they are just easier to learn overall as compared to something like Stall, where you have to really learn your matchups, learn your lines, or combo, where you have to, I don't know, you have to figure out how the new cards fit into your existing deck and how they, how they work with each other to generate you dice.
Yeah, combo is often also really difficult to play early on, since you can get cheesed by a lot of stuff. For example, I've seen Serpent Adaptive Burst quite a lot of times now, where one of your characters just gets one-shot, and if you're not prepared, well, your character dies and you almost always insta-lose.
But that being said, though, we do have another match, right? So let's go hop into that. Maybe we'll see some of these tech cards, maybe surprise plays that you're talking about. I think the Consecrated Beasts are such funny monsters.
Yeah, the energy cheating is quite something.
Vanessa? Oh, it's Yunjin, let's go!
Ooh, so we have two OTK decks against each other. That's quite something now.
I think I said this on stream before, but when Scrubby Duck was playing a Beto combo deck, but like she's just so slow, right? Because one, she has 3 energy bursts, and then 2, she also has a prepare skill. So it's like 2 different things of slowdown to worry about. Although Sankyo's deck is also slow in its own right, because first off, you need to get Yunjin's like flags up, and then you also might be considering setting up the Shenhe Icy Quills. And then you have to set up the Chongyun Frostfield as well to benefit from that. So yes, you can do a lot of normal attack damage, potentially more than Clea's, but like your setup is just as slow as theirs, and you also have to consider in the swaps as well.
Yeah, so I think Beto actually, she's been struggling with just your opponent getting you down with like the early turns, but maybe with Yunjin wanting to ramp turn 1 and not do any real damage, you might have a real shot at this now that, like, we see Beto having her burst up already, and this looks like they might have a real shot at this now.
Yeah, no, surprisingly enough, Beto is actually ahead on the setup because, like, as you said, Yunjin really likes to spend turn 1 just ramping her dice. And oh my, that's... Speaking of dice, though, that's a lot.
Now we see Yunjin with talent coming through, having 3 stacks and 5 damage normal, so being able to 2-shot any character, and, well, the Beto Burst doesn't do anything if she doesn't have any characters that can actually use
the supporter? Oh, that's so unfortunate. But yeah, no, this is like the power of Yunjin we were talking about. She just does so much damage so early. She has a turn 2 OTK, or like a turn 2 cripple your opponent playstyle. Very similar to Mew in that regard. But she also just has the damage to back it up as well.
Yeah, that's why if you play against Yunjin, you really need to be careful of turn 2, since we saw them ramp so much dice, and if you're not able to threaten Yunjin, you need to be careful of not dying to her.
And I think that's, as you said, where the freeze comes in, right? Because you can disrupt that setup, you can make her go for turn 3 instead, and that buys you time to do your own thing instead of playing around your opponent.
Yeah, we see now that Beto Burst damage reduction is there, but it's nowhere near enough to actually disrupt the insane amount of normal attack damage.
Yeah, it's just way too much to deal with. Like, the damage reduction does come into play when your opponent does a lot of smaller hits, but when you get punched so much, it just doesn't matter, and it will be Sanku taking the win over Clea in the combo mirror.
Yeah, congrats. Yeah, like the beta burst actually in like Chong Razor days, if some of these hits where you have like 2 into 2 and like or like 3 damage stuff, it actually comes into play, but with so high damage numbers, the small damage reduction of 1 isn't that impactful since you're often overcapping on damage anyway.
Yeah, right? Like, if you get 2 hits of 2 damage, like, the Beta Burst will effectively have it to do 2 damage instead of 4, but when you do 5 damage, it only reduces it by 1, so now it just does 4 damage, and, well, you're dying anyway, so why does it matter?
Yeah,
Just-
you often take like 6 damage already, and then you get 2-shot by 5 damage NAs instead of 6 damage NAs, which is
Yeah.
not really beneficial for you.
No, it really isn't, but I just... Man, Yunjin is such an interesting combo character, where instead of, like, you're trying to do multiple small hits with the benefit of reactions to amplify your damage, you're just doing a big hits, you know? If we take a look at our classic combo decks, right, we think Ayamiya, we think Chong Razor, we think Candace Razor, stuff like that, right? Or Alhaitham Beto, where you do one infused normal attack, and then you have something follow up on it, do a reaction, amplify their damage. Whereas Yunjin just does 5 damage.
Yeah, and we've seen this high damage quite a lot in this patch. Like, Kaveh just deals a lot of damage with, like, Bloom. It's just basically the stat checking your opponent, and then we've seen Yunjin and just a lot of characters that do a lot of damage in one hit.
I think Kaveh is such a funny character. I love him mainly because of his decks. Just you do a skill and then you just run an entire deck of 3-cost weapons and or artifacts. It is the funniest thing I've seen this patch and like in the history of GITCG, and I really want to see that deck succeed.
Yeah, the only problem for competitive play right there is it's pretty linear. Like, there's not many lines you can take when you only have 8 dice per turn to work with.
But he really does make it up for just his raw damage alone, right? Because like the way his scan works is after you get a Bloom Core, he'll do 1 damage, or sorry, he'll discard a card and do damage equal to the cost plus 1. Unfortunately, there's no Kaveh in this game yet. But we do get to see the new Consecrated Beast as well as a Nilu deck. Nilu hasn't been popular
Yeah.
for a long while, so I'm rather happy to see this.
Yeah, it seems like a more stallier version of Nilu Bloom. So we will get to see if this more stallier version actually can do a lot. And yeah, we've seen already talent used on Scorpion, and the card draw in this deck is just insane.
Whoa, Catherine and NRE. Those are cards we don't see a lot. Libin into skill. It'll be a near full ramp turn for the Nilu player. I mean, I guess this is fine because you are running a lot of sustain. This is like a 2 Hydro deck, as Nilu typically does like. Otherwise, you're kind of overcapping on Dendro app. And we also do have the Yaya, and we do have the Nuvla, so a lot of self-sustain. And the NRE could help us with the more aggressive playstyle of the Consecrated Beast.
Yeah, on the other side, we already seen the interaction of veterans, or not the interaction, but veterans equipped. And as soon as there are 2 more cards tuned or discarded, we will see veterans proc and just give 1 dice and 1 draw, since Whale will go up in HP.
Oh yeah, no, that's actually a really cool thing to notice because like Will gains HP every time you discard things, and then that means you can just do it off field. You can dump your hand, and suddenly you have an extra dice. I think that's one of the coolest things they've added this patch, like the combination between Whale and the veterans, and playing Quicknit on the Yugoi instead of the Bloom Core, which is more typical to get that instant Dendro double tap.
Yeah, and we see also Serpent skill giving 2 draws earlier on, since for each, like, you draw a block, and then for each block, you also draw cards, which is just insane card draw, combined
And-
with Scorpion Talent.
And those energy blocks synergize well with Serpent Burst as well, because it will double its damage for every single block it discards.
Yeah, for every 2.
Oh, every 2.
Yeah. So you actually need quite a few blocks to one-shot a character, but if you also have Adeptus, you only need 2 to one-shot a character from 10 HP.
Oh, that is so scary. But I mean, we see Atilla has 5 blocks in hand, which means he'll double its damage twice from 2 to 4, and then 4 to 8. So that Nuvolet's dead.
Yeah. Now we see 6 blocks already, so...
Oh, no, that Nuvolet's taking, like, what, 16 damage? Yeah, no, he's gone.
Yeah, we just saw a Nuvolet disappear, and with Nuvolet gone, a good source of the Hydra application is gone now, but...
A lot of, like, the late game anchor potential as well, because Nilou does have a 3 damage skill, but not much else.
Yeah, and we see that the Yaya isn't that fast at applying Dendro, but maybe with the setup now there, maybe we'll see that actually some part of Bloom will get going. We see the Dendro application in phase, and it certainly ramps up, but...
No, absolutely, but it is a bit slow to start, and unfortunately, I don't think they have much more time to do that. One character already down, Will already at 12 HP. Like, Attila's gearing up to finish the game right here and right now.
Yeah, shuffling more treasures, so I would guess that the next turn will probably be the last one. So there's so much card draw and so much extra dice there. It's really just card draw and dice generation all over, not even trying to do anything else but generate.
And I think this is kind of why we see summon decks falling out of the meta right now, right? Because we already have a lot of dice generation, so damage efficiency, which is what the summons do tend to give us, isn't as relevant anymore. And because your damage is so reliant on summons, you have to wait until your opponent's finished with their turn, which just gives them free reign to hit you over and over and over again, as we just saw. So...
Yeah. If you actually want to use summons right now, you need to do some really big damage. It's not enough to just have consistent damage like we saw in MMEC days, but you actually need to do so much damage now during end phase. And now we see also Countdown getting always discarded and reduced, so at some point, if you decide to stack it fully to 0 cost, you can draw 4 cards for 0 and certainly draw into a lot of extra dice with treasures.
And it also fixes your dice too, right? Just free and Azuma Resonance. Gives you, what, full Omni if you play it, I believe?
Yeah, I don't think it's played often for that effect, but it's certainly a fun upside. Maybe sometimes a downside, since you can't even tune anymore then.
Oh, yeah, you know, if you're playing with Whale, that might actually be a downside, because you do typically like to tune your cards in order to feed it that HP, but I mean, if you're really concerned about that, you can just pre-tune 3 and then play it.
Yeah, the only problem would be if you actually need to empty your hand. So, but with treasures too, well, if you play a treasure, if you don't get insanely lucky, or unlucky in that case, you can just tune the dice you get.
And I think, like, the match was probably already over from there, right? Like, Nilou just died and Yaya solo won't do anything. Yes, the summons would probably take out at least one character, but I think Whale solo at that point was more than enough to finish it off. Just, he was a very chonky boy, and he also has a lot of extra damage thanks to how many cards he just ate.
Yeah, I think we saw at the last second that it was like 11 HP whale, and 11 HP versus only Dendro Yaya, probably the whale will just survive. And you can probably tune like a few cards each turn and even outlive any damage this Yaya can do.
I mean, the only concern you have remaining is just how many turns were left on the Bloom Core, but I think we already saw it had one stack. They already used one quick knit, so I don't believe they were getting too much more value out of it. But with round 2 ready, let's see if we can see some new decks we haven't seen before. Hopefully we get to see a Apep deck. That's a character I don't believe we've seen yet today.
Yeah. It's a very interesting concept there, since you just are on a timer, and once this timer ends, you have a character with 5 damage skills. It's somehow like Whale, where you ramp up your damage, but you actually have quite a bit more of like a threat there.
Oh, and speaking of Apep, and Kaveh as well. Here we go, Amy bringing a very interesting Bloom deck, combining Kaveh's discard with Apep's Kindred, to hopefully speed up the stacking process of that 5 damage for the late game potential, as you mentioned. But Sanku once again bringing the Yunjin OTK deck, already having the Jade Spear. Unfortunately, no Gamblers or Minty Meat Reels just yet, but 8 damage normal attacks ready and waiting to be stacked. But you're talking about Apep, and you were talking about this timer. I think Yunjin is one of those characters that could very easily be ahead of it.
Yeah, and with the Kaveh probably not being able to take out Yunjin this turn, I think we might just see around 2 OTK here with so much dice. Like, you have 10 dice. Also, you can get 1 more dice from Vanessa, and a weapon equipped now.
Ooh.
This might just be some really huge damage.
And one of the great synergies between Yunjin and the Jadewing Spear is her Prepare skill gives you 2 stacks for it. Should be a 5 damage skill. Oh, look at that. And that's probably going to be the last instance of Hydro that Amy will get access to, right? If we stay on Mona, we won't have access to Blooms in the future, although that might be fine as there's already Dendro on the Shenhe and Chongyun is 1 HP. But if we swap over to Kaveh or Apep, we risk losing our carries.
Yeah.
Amy's in a really difficult situation right now.
The problem is right now, this Yunjin has 7 dice to work with, and probably 2 shots almost all of the characters.
Wait, can we skill? We can!
Yeah. We burst actually, which is pretty good damage, so with all characters pretty low...
No, we only discarded 1 cost! Oh, that's so unlucky.
Yeah, like I said, with all characters pretty low, you really try to go for the next round, but the question is, do you survive until next round?
Yeah, question indeed. Sanku has so much dice left to work with, even more now that the Vanessa came in. And wait, I just realized that's Chong talent.
Yeah,
Yunjin's gonna get buffed even more.
Yeah, boosting damage another additional time, but now 6 dice will probably be able to do a burst and a normal attack, and then needs to swap off.
At least one of Ibby's characters will die. They just need to choose who.
Yeah.
And
that's huge. Although I think with skill normal, the character will still die.
I think Apep still dies here, which is unfortunate. But the bright side is, though, end phase you get a Bloom, right? And then I think that's Yunjin dead as well. But we do still get our stacks up first.
Yeah, since Sanku decided to normal and then burst, instead of the other way around, I think this Yunjin might be dead starting of next round since you can't really swap off.
No, you can't afford to. You don't have the dice where we used up everything. Man, Vicious Ancient Battle just completely destroyed Sankyo's potential at turn 2 OTK and brings Imi right back into the game. Still at a disadvantage for sure, right? Both their characters are within one-shot range, and I don't think this deck runs any sort of healing.
Yeah,
but we do still have the Bloom Core proc out. We still have the 2 stacks of Scan ready.
Yeah. Oh, it seems like there's it's just one cost in the deck. And although it is quite good value of the cards you discard and get back from Kaveh talent, I don't know if you actually want to discard the one cost cards, because 2 damage on Kaveh is not that great, but you kind of see make it work here.
It certainly does feel underwhelming, and unfortunately, Sankyo's dice not looking too good. Is forced to tune 1, needs the skill here, otherwise it's not enough, yeah.
Yeah, no, both skill and normal.
Wait, they're not both not enough.
Yeah. Actually, the Mona Summon actually doing work.
No, absolutely. Like, Mona Summon is often kind of mocked for its low summon count. The damage reduction doesn't come up in most games, but here it is absolutely doing work for Imi. I think because of that Mona Summon, Imi could take the lead over Sankyo.
Yeah, actually, in this new meta, the summon actually comes up quite a lot. We've seen it with the 3 dice weapon deck from Kaveh. It actually just deals 10 damage turn 1, and if you Mona skill, you survive on 1 HP and can actually clutch it out.
I think in this situation, Imi has to gamble, because we burnt both Wovens after we do an action here. Oh, never mind. We just tune. Wait, I think burst into skill and Kaveh just wins. Okay, so thanks to the Fontaine Research Institute giving you stacks based off tuning, Imi's able to do 2 actions now. So it doesn't need to gamble on Kaveh, right? If we skill here and don't pull a 3 cost, we can still win thanks to Mona Burst.
Yeah.
It is another 1 cost, unfortunately.
Yeah, but there's just nothing in the hand from Sankyo, and with 2 1 HP characters actually being able to clutch it out in the end.
Yeah, no, it looked really, really bad for Imi, right? Yunjin was ready for that turn 2 OTK. We had talent in hand, we had, 11 dice, we had everything. But then Vicious Ancient Battle came and stole that energy away, minus 6 dice effectively for Sankyo to work with, which gave Imi just enough wiggle room to come back with 1 HP on both of their remaining characters.
Yeah, Sankyo also didn't have any of the extra dice from MMR or Gamblers, which are just really efficient for Yunjin. So they just couldn't keep going after killing 1 character.
I think that is the main issue with aggro decks like Yunjin, right? Because you want to go in really, really early. You don't have time to gather your resources. You don't have time to assemble the pieces of Exodia. So you're going in kind of at half power, and even a half power Yunjin still did massive damage.
Yeah, the turn 2 was actually pretty good, but just not enough of damage. When you see on the other side, they just have so many dice, and we're able to get all 3 characters low. If they were a bit higher HP, actually it might have been a way different story, since with a bit more HP and the Bloom doesn't do that much damage, we can certainly get the damage done this turn, but
just unfortunately not quite there. But we do have another game ready, so let's see how they do. Oh, it's a whale.
Oh. Yeah.
Ooh.
We already have the setup for Shan with Sayu.
And Soteria, that's an interesting card we don't really see.
Yeah.
I think playing the Soteria here is actually really smart in a discard deck, right? Because you want to discard to feed Will, and you want to discard to feed Apep, the Kindreds as well. So you're going to be dumping your hand, right? And because of that, Soteria is going to endlessly draw you cards. And it can draw you into more Kindreds, which you can just discard more of. It can draw you into a lot of resources. I think this is a really smart choice from Aqua to bring.
Yeah, we see now thinking about tuning or just clicking the burst, but the Herald talent already doing so much work. And if you burst, since Xinyan will actually kill Herald off field, you'll get the Herald curse again, and it's just so much dice you need to use to actually click any of your buttons.
Aqua's thinking on whether or not to burst right now.
Yeah.
The discard in the hands aren't looking great. You would ideally have a lot of more Kindreds in there. Tuning in a Willow is not ideal because we're just going to dump our entire hand. The Mahashase going away is a bit sad as well. We would love to see it on Whale in order to get its dice passive. We might just equip it now, actually. Ooh, tuning it instead.
Yeah.
And Soteria as well.
If we equipped it, we actually just didn't have enough dice to burst. So
oh yeah, you're right, because the Cursed Undercurrent.
Burst here, and we will see Herald go down and actually generate a lot of dice now.
Oh no, the current, the Kindred just arriving a little bit late after the Xinyan burst, so it doesn't get discarded. Thankfully, though, we can still skill. Xinyan's skill will discard on that as well.
Yeah, but we also see that there's a lot of Hydra applied, and I think next turn we will probably see all characters frozen, so we need to see if actually Aqua can manage the...
Oh, we can't tune the Dun, but it's okay. Skill will still always discard Kindred because it's the highest original cost, and yeah, we see it there.
Yeah. And also with Sayu talent drawing more and more, having the treasures shuffled in the deck, we will see. Oh, Aqua ending the round before, since Shan used the prepare skill, so...
Yeah, no dice remaining for Aqua to work with. Like, not even enough to swap. So this does leave Shan free to just punch again. No Gravestone equipped on Sayu, so that does mean Xinyan will live. But that will ready Wriothesley for just a triple freeze turn, because Aqua has no resources, probably doesn't run fast swap on this deck. Shan already used one earlier to proc Lumenstone. The thing is, though, Sayu will die end phase. Playing the countdown at 3 cost just to draw.
It's been seen quite a lot in those Treasure Wriothesley decks, since Treasure, you want a lot of draw, and actually countdown at 3 is just a good card still, since you can draw a lot of cards, you can use up all of your dice, and we will see if all those card draws are enough to get Ryo to kill all of the units here.
The thing about Ryo is because he is like a catalyst, so you can't really shatter or anything like that, so no bonus damage other than what's already in his kit. End phase summons will also do 3 damage, so Shan's really considering if we even have enough resource to bring Sayu to that 4 HP breakpoint to live on 1 HP and force Aqua to spend a little bit more dice, or if we're just going to end our turn here, let Ryo tank a little bit end phase, tank a little bit next turn, and just pray Aqua doesn't have a fast swap. Finish him off.
Yeah.
We are going to swap, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, no, we really want some form of fast swap in Aqua's hand next turn. We will get the dice from the cards from Sealy, so maybe we will get to just fast swap. Since we're already at 3 stacks, maybe our Apep will actually awaken and might be able to do the 5 damage skills.
Apep certainly is. Oh no, it's only a 3 stacks for Kindred, unfortunately, so haven't drawn enough of it just yet. I don't believe we can go to Apep this turn as well. No draw in hand. We can't draw any more Kindreds as well.
Yeah, we will be able to draw from the Sealy proc, but that Sealy proc must be something great.
The thing is, though, if we skill here, we can't even do another action. Because there is the Curse of the Undercurrent, it does take 1 action to swap. We do draw the Kindred, but I think our Xinyan is going to get instantly frozen, so we won't even have a chance to discard it.
Yeah.
Here it is. Shan's going in for the
you
big
can
combo.
actually also just play it, which is also something people aren't really aware of, I think, since you can just play it for currently 1 dice, since it got reduced by Apep skill, and proc it manually. If you had a fast swap, you would actually be able to just do the 6 damage here and threaten the kill, but seems like they just didn't draw the fast swap and aren't able to get any damage done. We see the weapon.
Either didn't draw it or doesn't have it in the deck, but on the other hand, Shan is preparing for their combo turn, equipping the Gilded, equipping the Tulia tools. I think Gamblers got replaced. Xinyan are going to get absolutely chunked. Aqua needs to find an answer, and I just don't believe they have one in their deck currently. They'll spend 1 dice to swap, puts them at 3, and then after that, because they have no dice generation in hand, even if they can avoid being full frozen, they won't have enough dice to do another action, thanks to that Curse of the Undercurrent. And that pesky Herald.
They could swap and do an action, but it's looking quite bad. Maybe Shan won't be able to OTK, but with all those dice reduction that Wriothesley has in his kit, it might just be enough.
And the parametric too to give even more dice. There's also the Gamblers. I don't know if Shan pulled back with Lyra or just full out replaced for Gilded, so that could be something to worry about as well. Shan is fully ready to finish the game here, or if not, just cripple Aqua beyond the point of a comeback. There's the Kindred, that is the last stack Apep needs. Unfortunately, though, still can't do an elemental skill.
Yeah.
Not enough dice for that because the Curse of the Undercurrent, but it doesn't matter as Razi will just freeze it.
Aqua can actually tune 1 card to get the dice needed, but it probably won't be it's frozen anyway, so we can't actually use it. And now, also, only 6 damage if you were actually to skill here, so unfortunate that they're out of range now.
Yeah, that they are. And Aqua just trying to consider their options to live another turn. Maybe you could tune 1 ramp with Liban as well, but I think losing a Pep here is not great. I think the better play would have been to just stay Xinyan and play that Liban, maybe play the Kusava as well. That way, I mean, Xinyan's already done her job, right? She's discarded to the point where you got Apep to the +5. So you just want to sacrifice her, preserve the HP in your other 2 characters, and just hope Shan doesn't have enough this turn. I think swapping between these characters, spreading out the damage, really lowers the wiggle room you have with your carries coming into next turn.
Yeah. Okay, we see that they really don't want to give Shan the Gambler's value, and if you lose some characters, it might be fine, but we just see a lot of damage coming through. 1 dice for the burst here, and This is looking like Shan actually will be able to just kill this round.
Oh, the punch from the burst takes out Xinyan. I'm pretty sure that is a gilded curly on Wriothesley, so no reset on the dice.
Yeah, but
Oh, slumming a whale, that's... Oh, I think that's it. Normal tech should do 4 here.
yeah, we see gilded to get the dice reduction from the weapon, so you will be able to do a 1 dice normal attack.
Oh, that's disgusting.
Yeah, quite a lot of dice reduction in his kit, so we'll be able to close it out. Congratulations. But yeah, now we see the freezing everyone in 1 turn. Still quite powerful. We saw that with Chong Razor in like the last patches, but this is quite different here since you need to apply the Hydro a bit earlier. So
You know, like, Wriothesley is quite strong because he has a lot of dice reduction, is able to a lot of cryo and just permanently freeze your team, but does require prior setup, and we can see, like, Aqua during that setup period almost took the lead. Apep was so close to popping off, but unfortunately that Herald, the Curse, the Undercurrent, slowed them down just enough for Shan to take the lead.
yeah, they actually just missed the fast swap of getting this game done, but it's quite a race actually. You want to take him out so early or cripple him just so he can't really do anything, and then you just try to one-shot him at some point. In those kind of decks, with 1 single carry, Shan really needed to be careful not to get him sniped at all. I think he never went to him until the pop-off turn, and yeah, we saw that already with all the summon damage too. He almost just got obliterated there. But
But yeah, Shan did a great job preserving that Wriothesley HP and just used it to take the lead over Aqua and eventually finishing off the game. But that concludes the end of round 2. But before we leave, let's take a look at the brackets. Let's see who our winners are. Our 2-0s, our 5-0 contestants.
yeah. We probably have a few 5-0 contestants since 2 rounds done, so a few 2-0s should be there. But yeah.
Here we go. These are the results for round 2. It looks like they were gonna bye after losing the last round. Atilla took one over Shinamiya. Mayoi and Den are still going. Magnac and Linux are fighting. Magnac was actually a Prince Cup participant for Atlantic, so you can see a few of his games over there. And a few familiar names as well. We have Birdie, Paul Stevenson, Liel, and Kaveh. Both of those were also Prince Cup participants as well, so that's quite exciting to see them here. And here are our 2-0s.
We have, I think, 7 2-0s already, so we will get to see them fight for the 5-0 this time.
I mean, the numbers will be cut in half as soon as we reach next round, because that is how Swiss brackets do work out, but that is all for us for now, and for round 2, we're going to go into a short break and be back in time for round 3, so we'll see you then.
Hello, everybody. It is Kojo and Binzu here. We're taking a quick break. Simi needs to go grab something, but we are jumping into this match right here with a Kaveh mirror. Oh my goodness! I believe we saw a Kaveh match earlier today. Isn't that right, Binzu?
Yeah, and we saw actually it win and having a lot of just damage with all those Kaveh boom cores, and now we see Mona variants again and 4 damage already on Kaveh. This Kaveh is getting pretty low.
Yeah, I'm pretty surprised. I'm seeing the Mona variant because a lot of people have, touted that, hey, Mona isn't the strongest version, right? A lot of people run the Furina version, right? And I'm interested to see this because personally, as much as I understand why Furina is, one of the stronger picks for the second Hydro, right? Mona giving Kaveh the guaranteed bloom is pretty useful, eh?
Yeah, it's more of, I think, people trying to get the bloom card really turn 1, and Furina just having 4 Hydro applications is more comfortable for a lot of people. But now we see that we have Sinamia with Kaveh still at 10 HP, and both players are actually equipping the weapons here, which we don't see a lot of times.
Yeah, no, weapon is super rare to equip. Personally, when I'm playing my Kaveh games, I'm like, oh man, I wish I could use that weapon, but it is really nice to have it, getting that +1 damage, and especially with how many weapons you run, you really are, you have a lot of options for what Kaveh can do with said weapons, right?
Yeah, and we see that Explosions actually used it with the bell for the break point of getting the 1 shield that they don't die to Mona, NA, or Kaveh skill, but Sinamia just plays a different weapon and says, yeah, sure, I can equip a weapon for +1 damage as well.
Yeah, I can do it too. And unfortunately, Kaveh is down for the count on Astral's side. There are no other burst scans because that's the one benefit of Kaveh, right? Kaveh, even if you drop at least a burst, you have 2 burst scans to work with. So as long as you can bloom, you can definitely close out a game even from this position.
Yeah, and the Paimon ramp doesn't seem to do that much, since if you don't have bloom anymore, it's just Mono Hydro, and Whale and Mona are not the characters that do a lot of damage at the start.
Yeah, no, definitely not. Whale especially, right? You need to feed it. You need to feed it those cards if you want it to actually deal damage, or even have survivability in the first place. And right now, it's really not looking like it. Whale is holding down at only 5 HP. So Mona may need to do something to her, maybe even boost it a little bit to get out of the position that they're in.
Yeah, you can get to 3 damage skills now that you can just tune your whole hand, but I don't know if it will be enough, since 3 damage skills are normally not what makes a character work.
Yeah, there we go. Kaveh's weapon coming into play, because typically Kaveh can only throw 2 damage at a time unless he has bloom cores, but this weapon is really helping him hit those breakpoints and those kills. And now there's a Whale 1v1, but ooh, we can get a +3 HP. Let's see what Astral does here.
Yeah, I think they thought that they would be safe with this Mona skill, since it gives the +1 health, but maybe they just didn't know that Kaveh burst plus weapon actually just does 4 damage.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That right there is going to be the deciding factor in pushing Sinamia over the top. Whale just did heal a ton of HP though, so let's see how Astral makes use of it.
Yeah, and healing for so much that they're actually at 11 HP, probably going to 13 or 14 next turn. Let's see if Sinamia can do 14 damage in 2 turns, which it's looking quite good.
yeah, looking pretty good so far. You know, this is a bit of a detriment of Whale, right? Without those cards, if you don't mind reminding me, you know, without cards, how does Whale really function? You know, without it.
Yeah, it can't really do any damage. It only has like a 1 damage deal and 1 AoE burst, which often isn't cutting it. I don't think. If you just do 1 damage skills, you're not really getting anything. Normally we see 1 damage on Catalyst users, like Mona, like Barbara, where you have the secondary effect like the Mona summon or any of the Barbara healing, but
yeah, healing, you know, damage, etc. Oof. Explosion's not looking too good, right? They have this talent card, which could be really useful, but unfortunately their dice are just not working out right now.
yeah, and even if they can actually manage to, we see 3 of the burst sweeps, and actually with just 1 skill, Sinamiya, if they get at least a 2 dice, with
yeah.
only 3
Yeah,
dice.
that's the first scan. GG's. Boy.
Yeah. Actually, that was just really good targeting of Kaveh getting down, and if Kaveh is down, you don't really have any options in this Bloom team.
Right.
It's not like if you're playing Nilo Bloom, where if Nilo dies, sure, you lose the talent, but you still have the status of generating those Bloom stacks. But with Kaveh, it's not really that easy to generate any more damage.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. But yeah, thank you for that, Binzu. I'm gonna slide in. Sumi, welcome back from the Shadow Realm.
Yes, I'm indeed back. This time of my own undoing, unfortunately. My arrogance got the better of me.
My
Pride
arrogance got
before
the
the
better
fall,
of
as they say.
It's okay. Listen, we have a nice cup of tea to enjoy the next match because we have another one coming up right now. We're coming close to the end game. So get ready, folks. We are sliding in just a few moments.
Yeah. And yeah. Let's see.
As you're saying, I do agree with you that in these Kaveh will decks, as soon as you lose Kaveh, a lot of your pressure is gone because you're reliant on that burst scan to really both charge up Whale and also lower the amount of HP your opponent has to work with. And additional to that, he's also your only Dendro application. So even if you do still have burst scan stacks left, it doesn't matter if you can't get those blooms going. So losing Kaveh early was certainly a detriment. And ooh, another Whale deck.
Yeah, and this time it's the beasts with Whale together, and I don't see Beto burst on the side of Clea, so it seems like Beto might have gotten sniped.
You're right, yeah, and we can see there's the Serpent too, right? So that makes it very easy to snipe characters, because as we've mentioned earlier, right, Serpent doubles its burst for every 2 blocks of energy it's discarded thanks to its burst. So it does make it quite easy to snipe a character like Beto, who is rather stationary and slow. Just apply the element, like you swirl to draw a ton of energy blocks, and then just burst. Very easy to snipe characters like that, especially if you're pairing it up with an Adeptus Temptation.
Yeah, and I would imagine Clea is just trying to hit for the weapon and survive this turn, because without this Beto burst, you really need something to get your damage up.
And like no Hydra applications too, right? Because we did spend a lot of that early game onto Beta. We didn't set up for a triple freeze like Shan, so Kyo can just hit again and again on Whale with no detriment. Kokomi being sacrificed here to try to keep Wriothesley alive just that little bit longer. Finally, now Kyo is out of dice, but I don't think Clea just has enough resources. Oh, and there's also the Scorpion thing to like burst effect to deal with as well. That will be another 2 electro damage onto Wriothesley.
Yeah. Although, actually, Wriothesley has a lot of self-sustain, so they might just be able to heal this damage up. Like you see, 2 HP healing just canceling out the damage reduction and healing for another 2. This is doing a lot of work here. Yeah, now we can actually generate 3, 4 more, 5 more dice or something just from your hand alone. And with that, you probably are able to go up to 7 HP and 8 HP end phase. So that might just be enough to survive next turn.
Mm-hmm. There is a lot of healing in Rise's kit thanks to his stacks, and because he's under 6 HP, he heals too instead of reducing the dice and damaging himself. So it does give him some wiggle room to work with. We'll heal up to 6 HP thanks to this treasure. We could have healed up to potentially 7 if we just had a little bit more dice to work with. We'll choose to go for the burst instead, though.
Yeah, using the burst for 1 dice is quite nice here. And you won't be able to heal anymore since you're on 6 HP now and...
Well, 7 thanks to Kokomate, and is
yeah,
now
7 HP now. And actually killing Whale, so it's a 1 versus 1 against Scorpion. And
this is looking very possible again for Clea.
Yeah, and I think Wriothesley has that since you have this extra healing from treasures and and Wriothesley himself, so even if he falls below like 6 HP, any NA will just heal him back.
No, absolutely. And if Clea ever feels like Wriothesley is in a little bit too much danger, we have 2 treasures in hand to play with, so this is looking quite dangerous. I mean, Scorpion is doing effectively 1 damage to Wriothesley because he takes 3 heals too. So it's like nothing ever happened. So now with Will gone, that's the brunt of your damage. A lot of your investment has gone away.
Yeah, and we know that the Scorpion deck doesn't have as much healing and dice generation after just all those cards are gone. Like, sure, you have like a bit, but
the energy block will give Q another action. The burst especially is huge because it will counteract a lot of the self-healing Wriothesley does. So that will be really, really good. The only issue here is that Clea still has like another 3, maybe 4 actions left in hand.
Yeah.
I don't think Q lives this round because we lost that will. We weren't able to chunk out Wriothesley enough. Clea, despite losing an early beta, does look like they're making a comeback.
Yeah. You see, he has like a burst and a skill left, but I don't know if they will actually be able to do a 3rd action this turn. So, the Adaptus burst.
Okay, how much does this do? 6! Okay, as long as we have 1 more action, we can finish off Wriothesley this turn. But our entire hand... Oh, and we are! Because burst discards 3! Which gives our Fontaine Research Institute it up to its 3rd, up to its 6th stacks, giving us 1 more Omni Dice. I think he wins now.
Yeah, we need to actually dig for a lot of treasures, but I don't even know if there are any more in the deck. Oh, Strategize is actually huge.
Okay, what
since
does this draw
it
us?
could allow us to draw into a lot of treasures.
Well, that's a treasure.
Yeah,
we needed that.
I don't think it's enough since you heal just to 3 HP and Q is able to do the 3 damage this turn.
Oh, it's not looking good for Clea. 1 stack on his passive left. I forgot the name of these. I really gotta learn the names of these passives. Heals up to 5, takes it down to 2, and you're right. Yeah, 3 HP. Within Scorpion's skill range.
Yeah, that Adaptus was actually really huge since it actually, if you didn't have Adaptus, Clea might be able to just run away. They had the dice to do a lot of actions and kill Scorpion this turn, so if you just didn't kill this Wriothesley before he could just pop off, it might have been just over.
Such a clutch play. And the discard as well, giving Fontaine Research Institute that those stacks need to give that one extra Omni dice to do that last attack. Absolutely clutch gameplay. If Sanku was missing any of those pieces, I think Clea just instantly wins.
Yeah, the +1 dice actually, without the extra action as well, it might have been just getting the healing and running away with the game again.
Especially with like how many actions Clea had left in her hand. It was certainly a winning position if we just had a tiny bit more HP. If we just drew that one extra treasure, maybe top deck a little bit of food off that strategize. But this is how GITCG goes sometimes. It is a game of inches, and sometimes we lose.
Yeah, that's why the beast deck is actually so tricky to deal with. They get the energy from the blocks and just generate a lot of immediate pressure with getting bursts round 2 and spamming them out until the end of the game. You can't be safe forever here.
Like, there's a lot of value in those energy blocks, like the dice, the card draw, the energy as well. If you are playing them on the Consecrated Beasts themselves, they are certainly a lot of dice generation, a lot of value being made from those. That just, I think, the ability to capitalize off the advantages as well is what makes a great beast player.
Yeah, you have both talents probably in the deck, which generates a dice when swapping and one draw each time you play it if you get both talents out. So instead of just getting one dice and one energy, which is already huge, you can actually get a lot of extra value every turn. And if your opponent's not ready for this, you might just outvalue them turn 1, turn 2.
And that's probably why we see the Consecrated Beasts being played together a lot. They really synergize off of each other, but we can talk about that later. We got another match ready and waiting.
Yeah, and we see the Yunjin Chongyun Shanha again.
Versus the Xinyan Apep deck.
Yeah. Xinyan Apep, this time with Furina. Furina actually not the card you would think first off when playing the deck, so quite excited to see it.
Furina doesn't really synergize with like the discard playstyle Xinyan and Apep do promote. She has a lot of hydro application, which could be nice to get some Burgeons going, maybe some early vaporizes for the Xinyan. But like, she doesn't stack like with Whale as is more typical. You can't get that dual scaling with a Apep and Whale with Xinyan's discard on burst. It looks like a lot of the cards they are running are similar. We see the Fontaine Research Institute and the Satyr, which combo really well with the discard playstyle this deck promotes.
Yeah, a bit of something new is Her Arthur there, since it's not really a card you see a lot of the time used, since getting the top of the card from your opponent is not often what you actually just want from your cards. It's often just tuning fodder, but maybe that's actually what you want here, with a Apep talent also used, so those summons will do a lot of damage end phase, but will it actually be enough even to do anything here?
I mean, they might do a lot of damage end phase, but we have to get to that point first. Sanku is going in on Yunjin. No gamblers, no weapon, but we do have that Chong talent, and we do have a lot of just stacks thanks to her burst, and
Yeah.
talent as well, which will reduce her dice to unaligned.
Yeah, and that's what you see happen again when you just let her run wild, and with MMR and so many extra dice, even without a weapon, you can just two-shot characters since you have talent, and killing two characters turn 2, not what you want to face. And skilling actually
We played the
trying maybe
Adeptus,
to
not sure what
survive.
that was for. Oh, maybe we want to play because we want to burst, but we didn't want it to be tuned by the burst. So it's like a pre-play Adeptus. That's quite interesting. And so we're
Yeah.
not using it though.
Yeah, probably decided against it, seeing that they don't actually want them to have a free swap to Yunjin, but
I mean, it doesn't matter. Yunjin burst, or double 2, and the unaligned hit. Oh.
yeah, actually just tuned just to get rid of the cards in hand. The attack itself was just too unaligned, so
Right, just the power of Yunjin, right? Just a lot of raw damage that comes out really fast on turn 2 before most decks are prepared to deal with it. If we think of standard combo or just like standard decks, we've typically had a rule where decks really like to finish games by round 3. That is your big combo turn. That is where aggro will cripple you. Or sorry, that is where aggro will finish off games. That is where combo will cripple you. That is like where stall finishes setting up. But Yunjin's able to beat that timer on turn 2 before these decks are really ready and are able to interrupt it with so much damage, are able to take out characters early. It forces you to play differently compared to other
Yeah.
decks, and a lot of players just aren't ready for that yet.
yeah, that's why you kind of need to match all of the dice they have round 2. Since we saw they just tried to get their own game plan going against Yunjin, and it just wasn't working, since you actually need to play against it and can't just rely on you doing your stuff.
I mean, you said Apep was like a timer, but like Yunjin is kind of like the antithesis to that. Instead of forcing your opponent to play fast enough to beat you before you're set up, you're forcing your opponent to kind of match your pace.
Yeah. And if you just can't deal with her, like, you can't really do some setup decks. Like, we saw Crab last patch, where Crab was just almost just ramping round 1, round 2 stuff, right? And then just outvaluing your opponent with just so much healing. But it didn't really have any kill threat at the start, so with Yunjin there, Yunjin just probably is like one of the biggest counters to like these slow setup decks.
But Yunjin isn't unbeatable. Like Beto, she is really open to disruption. If you play freeze, you're able to stop her like that turn 2 when she goes off. You're able to freeze the character with all of this investment put into it. So that really will delay their game plan, and by then, hopefully, you would have bought yourself enough time to be able to counteract her momentum. Or alternatively, you can run that vicious ancient battle. You can force her to spend 3 more energy to build up her burst, and you can have her have less dice on that combo turn to hopefully withstand it better.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest weaknesses, is you're really playing around her at all cost. Like, if you don't get this setup, you're actually not doing really any damage, and you need to build around her for her to work. Like, we saw a lot of dice generation and a lot of weapons for her, but if she just doesn't have the weapons and dice generation, or if she just gets disrupted, like an overload, for example, also works quite well against her, since it's a lot of damage and you're just wasting her time while she's scared of ever switching to Yunjin again.
maybe this is the time where we see Thunder Manifestation pop in, right? The Fire Station, Pyro Station, one of the very classic decks that's just generically strong because of Bennett, because of Thunder Manifestation, because of all the value it gets from Power Resonance. Maybe this is where we see a resurgence of these types of decks, which can disrupt you with the overload, but also can threaten to kill your setup character before they really have a chance to go off, or like just threaten their carries, because the Lightning Rod will always hit the same target.
Yeah, the problem with manifestation often is that you can't really choose which character you disrupt, so it might just be a problem if they decided to skill on another character, but then again, they just used 3 dice on a different character, so it might just be good.
I think it is a win-win for you, right? Because either they go on Yunjin and you could threaten a power res kill, or they spend 3 dice on one of their other carries, and that's 3 less dice they have to work, 4 less dice they have to work with, because they also have to swap as well.
Yeah. So we might just see people bringing some of disruption against Yunjin, but actually, since the first weekly, we've seen quite less Yunjins running around, actually.
This is the thing with aggro, though. Once people learn how to deal with it, once people learn how to play around it, it does typically fall off because its game plans are very straightforward, and they're very linear and very easy, predictable as well.
Yeah, that's just one of the problems. It's very easy to counter a linear strategy. We've seen people bring something like Mona or Herald just against those Kaveh decks, and we've seen some form of freeze against Yunjin decks. So these type of decks are really just getting disrupted every single time the meta evolves, so we might see them less and less. Although I think Kaveh might be one of the fan favorites, so we might see that a lot more.
Hopefully, Kaveh is like a very exciting character to watch. Character breakdown. I love these. Here we have the stats of character selections this week. Not a lot. Giona is one of, Beta is one of, Krahibastace is one of. Fischl, I can't believe Fischl is only a one of. She has fallen from grace quite a lot now that I mention it.
Yeah, it's quite clear that like Narwhal is one of the most used characters, and we see why, because it's new that this card is now really popular, and Narwhal just what most people just think of as the discard card, so you most often just want to bring it with this card.
Kaveh is quite high usage rich as well, and Mona is of course up there. That's not very surprising. What is though is how high Furina is, like being a summon character as her main niche. As we see, summon characters have fallen from grace quite heavily. It's like just looking at Fischl in particular. The only other summon character in here is Zhongli, but is from the Geosword Yunjin deck, so that's kind of an anomaly. But Furina, that is quite a surprise.
Yeah, so Furina is a new summon character with a summon that actually deals 2 applications in end phase. So that's probably why we see her. Also, maybe used install, and yeah, we're also, I just want to point out, Kaveh and Mona, same amount of
Oh yeah, you're right.
abilities, so might just be that they both were played together always. So
Oh yeah, that is true. And Wriothesley, Yunjin, and Apep are all quite high up there as well as new cards. Players do typically like to experiment with these as they come out. We'll have to see how strong they are. We'll have to see how many of them win, but just looking at usage rates, they look quite healthy right now.
yeah.
Oh.
We actually have a Yunjin mirror and Mayoi full ramped on Seahorse here. And getting those ramp options like Paimon Wagner and the Leeway Res already.
It's going to be a lot of dice coming into turn 2, and the weapon as well. Hopefully they roll Jade Spear. That is the one you want. But the other weapons aren't too bad either.
Yeah.
I don't know about Mayoi's list in particular, but a tech that I'm seeing a lot of players do is for Wagner, they run 2 Jade Spears as well. So you have a 50-50 chance of getting it, because that is your power point. It makes the Yunjin do so much damage compared to the other weapons.
Yeah, since you just have so much dice on round 2, you will do like 5 actions on Yunjin, and that's often just enough to just stack this Jade Spear full and do a lot of damage.
Oh no, Leoric got vicious. Oh no.
Yeah, we see Mayoi actually skill, which isn't that typical for the deck, since skilling just uses up dice, which you might as well spend on Yunjin.
I think it is to preserve that Yunjin HP a little bit, because Leoric really wants the Narwhal into burst right now, and by scaling, it kind of lets, like, it forces Leoric to hit onto the Seahorse, preserve a little bit more of that HP. What Leoric really would have wanted was to burst, though, but, like, that fish has completely shut him down.
Yeah. And yeah, Mayoi actually now needs to think, might as well not proc the parametric from Leoric, since it will be quite difficult for him to proc it alone. Needs to like normal twice on Yoimiya, and with 2 normals and a burst, it's enough actually to kill, but the skill prevents a bit of the damage and is enough to get them out of lethal range for this turn, probably.
Oh, and here comes the Jade Spear. Like, this was the really threatening point of Yunjin. I mean, her burst alone is already super scary, but you add in the Jade Spear, she gets +3 damage from that thing if she can stack it up. And skill, like, prepare skill, it already gives her 2 stacks, so Yunjin is at +3 damage already.
Yeah.
Her normals are going to chunk.
Yeah, and now Leoric applying the cryo on Yunjin probably wants to make Mayoi afraid of this Yoimiya normal attack, which is quite dangerous for them.
Ramping? Oh, we can't leave Yunjin like out in the open like this. We can't afford to do that.
I would guess it's just to clear out the hand space for Yunjin normal attack. So instead of tuning, Mayoi decides to just play the Liben, and yeah, we see a lot of tuning going on.
Oh, minty meat rolls. We're going
MMR, yeah. This is going to hurt.
Yuna chunked down to 2 HP, forces over to Yoimiya swap. We don't want to go Yunjin, because, once again, normal attacks really do chunk. The thing is, though, with no burst, I think Yunjin would live on 2 HP, but that would effectively mean we could never swap over to her for the rest of the game.
I don't know if Leoric is actually maybe playing the heavy strike, which would threaten the kill, but probably is not by the looks of it, since Mayoi just confidently bursts and yeah, 6 damage normal attack.
Unfortunately, though, that is not enough. Yunjin lives, and so does Mayoi chances at sweeping.
Yeah, and if this last card is actually something to like maybe a Wolven or something, Mayoi will be actually able to kill 2 characters here, or at least get close to it.
By the looks of it, unfortunately, it is not. No burst or talent either to reduce the dice further. I think Mayoi might just be forced to be satisfied with ending first and then continuing the combo next turn. That does unfortunately mean, though, that the Jade Spear stacks will wear off.
I would imagine Mayoi at least taking the kill here, but decides not to. Actually surprising for me, since the Jade Spear and MMR is going to waste now.
Yeah,
And-
Mayoi could have gone one extra action off. It would have cost one unaligned to attack.
Yeah. And both players starting the next round with 10 dice. Leoric draws quite not what you want to see with both Dunyazads, and it's not really the turn where you want to get your ramp cards, so...
No, you
And
would have
there's
loved
the
to see
heavy
those earlier. Oh, you're right. Yeah, Leoric is running the tech.
Yeah. So Mayoi actually just gambled that Leoric didn't have the heavy strike in hand and decided to burst, and maybe was quite confident that they probably won't win otherwise.
I mean, with how small Leoric's hand is and how little he's drawn so far, it was a pretty reasonable gamble. I mean, aggro decks like this typically don't have a lot of draw because they need all of the dice they can get to just punch the opponent over and over and over again. So the gamble was calculated and it did pay off, getting Mayoi into a rather comfortable lead. They are going first, though, but because they swapped over to the Seahorse for that extra draw, they cannot get the first action onto Yunjin. Swapping back would be a death sentence for her. You need to either wait until Leoric runs out of dice, or you can get a free swap over to her when he eventually kills one of your other two characters.
Yeah, I think the main advantage Mayoi has right now is that all the stacks are there and your normals will be able to just cost less, do more. So Leoric needs to find a way to maybe set up or at least do some sort of damage here and threaten that Yunjin can't go into play anymore.
Yeah, no, but despite Mayoi having a rather comfortable lead, it is not over for Leoric. They do have the action priority because they did end. Well, they didn't end first, but Mayoi was forced to swap off of Yunjin, so they are able to get the first action out. They are able to get the first move, and that will start killing. We're gonna try to get our burst up. We're gonna try to get our flag stacks up. We're going to see if we can, try to chunk Mayoi enough to where we can take back the lead with this action priority.
Yeah, and we see the NSC draw actually, which is pretty huge. Being able to proc this Mao and generating in total like 2 extra dice for you to spend is really huge for you.
It's going to be another action in the hands of Leoric, which could be really, really good. Maybe even 2 actions, depending on how the dice work out. Which would be a Seahorse skill in response to Mayoi. We really just cannot afford to swap back over to our own Yunjin yet.
Yeah, and Leoric now being able to burst, which is really good for you, and probably evening out the pressure here. But Leoric afterwards still has 3 dice remaining, with being able to generate 2 more from NSC, is able to probably kill a character maybe this turn, so Mayoi is not safe at all.
No, most certainly not. Leoric really would like to normal attack here, but I'm pretty sure that would be enough to lethal Seahorse. So doesn't want to go for that just yet. I think setting up burst is the better option, but because of the Vicious Strike, we're wasting a lot of dice we could be using to attack on this setup. On the other hand, though, Mayoi's dice aren't looking too much better. Ooh.
Yeah. Now we see the tune into the burst, and Mayoi just used a lot of dice swap stalling, so only having 4 dice remaining. I don't think this deck runs a lot of like magic, because you have this resonance, only like Wovens and like NSC MMRs in the deck for dice that you can instantly generate. Maybe Vanessa, but it's not enough mostly.
No, no, really isn't. Skilling again on Seahort. Like, you really do not want to swap over to Yunjin right now if you're Mayoi. Leoric
Yeah.
could have just normal attacked on his own Yunjin, but will decide to preserve her HP just in case Mayoi has any extra dice in hand.
Yeah, and now we probably see the NSC kill here. Oh, now probably tuning one more or playing something. Leoric really decides what to do here, since the dice reduction only comes into play if he has one card in hand.
I think we... No, I don't think we want to tune the chicken, though, because that is one extra dice for us next turn, because Mao will give us a refund, and we kind of want to keep the Heavy Strike for breakpoint reasons. So, I think the play here is to swap over to Yunjin with the remaining dice, and we will sacrifice it for a free swap. If Mayoi attacks, we hit back, and then it's Zhongli solo versus Diona plus Yoimiya.
Yeah, this Yoimiya actually did such a great job of just getting rid of a lot of characters here.
And we can also see the Yoimiya buff from this patch coming in, right? She still has one stack of Pyro Infuse left. And it's going to be one extra damage onto Mayoi's characters before Leoric is forced to do the skill again and reset the passive.
Yeah. Now we probably see something like a normal attack, or honestly, maybe a swap, but Leoric might have a lot of attacks. Although
a swap is something to consider. But the thing is, if you're swapping, it's just free damage for Leoric, right? He will happily just punch you with the Yunjin. Fast swap coming in, though, this is going to be a pretty nice trade.
Yeah, although all of the characters on Leoric's team do about the same damage, since Leoric doesn't have a weapon.
You're right, yes. Yunjin will fall, though, thanks to that Zhongli's skill. And because we skill, we get to keep those stacks to be used on a healthier character like Yoimiya, but here it is. I mean, Leoric backed into a corner. We have 8 dice, we have Vanessa in hand, MMR as well. We have to start acting now.
Yeah, the gambler's actually coming really in hand for Mayoi with all those characters you need to kill. You need some form of dice generation. And Gamblers is just that. Now, we know Leoric doesn't have any good dice, only one usable, and if Leoric wants to use Vanessa, he needs maybe to pull something from the Smile, since otherwise, even with the flag reducing the dice needed, it's not really what you want to see right now.
We'll choose to tune the Vanessa instead. That's -1 dice for Leoric to work with. It's not what you want right now. You need all the dice you can get, but just unfortunately did not roll well enough to work with it. Back over to Mayoi now.
Mayoi actually
there's no way we're ramping.
No, Mayoi seems to be just getting rid of hand again with playing Liben and probably tuning to just normal twice, maybe?
I mean, normal twice would take out the Yoimiya of Leoric, but not before she gets in another attack.
Yeah, but as we can see here, the breakpoints for Mayoi actually work out quite well, since Leoric only with Yoimiya Burst will be able to just get Yunjin on 1 HP after normaling twice, which is quite unfortunate.
And the dice, they're so bad. If we normal attack again, Zhongli lives, Gambler's Reset will get another action, and then we just punch over into Diona. I think the game is already over. Mayoi has taken it.
I don't know if Leoric can actually do something here. This heavy strike doesn't change any of the breakpoints Leoric has, and Leoric doesn't need the dice actually. Leoric just needs to live one
roll
more
pyro.
action. Yeah.
The thing is, though, like, normal attack, right? It's going to go net neutral in dice because it costs 2 to hit, and then we'll kill Yoimiya, then we get our Gambler's Refresh, and I think that's it. Because no matter what Leoric does after that, just one normal attack on any character is more than enough to finish the game.
Yeah, with the heavy strike, Leoric will be able to take out Zhongli in one action, and the Yoimiya burst actually getting over to Yunjin, putting her at 1 HP. So, quite calculated from Mayoi probably that Yunjin will be able to survive at 1. Mayoi probably thinking, like, what if Leoric has something but doesn't even... I don't even think Leoric probably has something in the deck. Mayoi actually 5 cost skilling to protect the Zhongli a bit, but...
5 cost, so like Leoric would be forced to do at least 2 actions to kill, and then now completely out of dice, Yunjin comes in to sweep over the Diona. Just, man, if Leoric was able to get one more action off, it was his game. But just unfortunately, Mayoi was able to get the Yunjin burst off first, was able to get the setup first, because the Vicious Strike delayed Leoric's game plan so much.
Yeah, it's actually insane how much one energy sets you back right now. Because before, this one energy often did not do as much as some of the other arcanes. Like, when we saw like Judgment or maybe Covenant before, doing like really a lot of work during pop-off turns, now Vicious is just delaying this pop-off turn so much that you often just run away with the win before they can even pop off now.
Yeah, and like, especially often in aggro matchups, it's all about momentum. It's who can hit first, who can hit faster, and who can get their setup before their opponent. And just Vicious lets you delay your opponent's setup by so much. It lets you take that lead early and maintain it for just that little bit longer to clinch the game.
Yeah, for 0 dice also, you can always play it. It's gonna be a bit of a break in your hand when you have like, when you want to have something else, but with all the card draw right now, like, you have, for example, in Serpent decks, you draw a lot from skill. In some other decks, you want to ramp anyway, so you draw, so just playing Vicious.
I think Vicious is a very different arcane from the other ones, right? Because when we think about arcanes, it is typically about gaining advantage, right? Covenant gives you dice, Courtyard gives you dice through equips, Fluff lets you farther your HP lead, and like Joyous lets you maintain your lead, Stove draws you cards to further your lead. But Vicious is very different, where instead of gaining advantage, it's all about delaying your opponent instead. It's all about preventing them from continuing with their combo, from doing what they want.
Yeah, with the Judgment also, you had like this combo turn, or the like having the opponent's combo turn be less effective, but Vicious is trying to not even let them get to the combo turn now.
Like, it's just stopping them before they even start, and I think that just makes it so threatening. But since it is round 4, we are going to have round 5 soon for our matches. Why don't we take a look at the bracket to see who our potential winners of today will be?
Yeah, we will most likely have a 5-0 there. So let's see who the contenders are. Like, and I'm really excited for which decks they will bring to the 5-0.
I think that kind of shows us what's the strongest in the early meta, what players believe to be the most powerful. Here we have some of the matches that have already concluded. We're going to see our results a little bit below.
Yeah.
Here we go. Oh, only one 4-0 contestant so far. We do have a few games still ongoing, so most likely between Linux and Evil Z. Avili Z?
Yeah. No, we also have CVV as the opponent of Evilzy as well. So probably the winner of the two will be facing up. So
Alright. But we have a replay match coming up though, so we'll have to see which of those two eventually will become victorious to face the Linux at our 5-0 match. But before that, just a quick replay before we move on.
and we're here. We already see a lot of cards that are either new or changed. Like this whole hand right now is just like new cards.
Oh yeah, you're right. Except for Stove, but I mean Stove received the balance chain, so I guess it's kind of new.
Yeah, Stove has been changed, and all of the other cards are just new. So testing all of the new cards now, it seems.
I think Mausoleum is a very interesting card. It's all about delaying your opponent once again, which is kind of a theme with a few of these newer cards, but it's kind of dependent on your opponent running a lot of draw, because otherwise it doesn't actually activate, and it's just one dice down the drain.
Yeah, it actually is quite interesting if you play it into something like a lot of card draw, since a lot of the combo decks, especially with something like the underwater package, if you can get it early or during some of the pop-off, like for example Liben draws you at the start of the round, and with Mausoleum it will actually break your whole turn for this round. Like if you're just full ramp turn 1 with double Liben, it actually hurts quite a lot.
The thing is though, is that you might not be able to tune the Forbidden Knowledge, but you can discard it. So the cards like Kusava and like Xinyan Burst, you could very easily negate the effects of that card, and you can also play the Forbidden Knowledge to your own benefit, right? Because playing it proceeds towards Lumenstone. You can play it; it will actually activate the Prohibition as well if your opponent is running things like Judgment or the Feltret de Mechopide, right? So you can play it to really benefit you, and it will also trigger things like, I shall say, Hunter and Veteran's Visage as well.
Yeah, you can certainly play it, but it will just not work out if you're just not running any discard. So you really want to run some form of discard with it, and we see now that we again have Yunjin with a weapon and a lot of like setup dice, although it doesn't seem quite a lot of the discard dice. So we will see Yunjin probably not doing as much this turn and deciding to probably ramp for next turn.
It's, as you said, the double rush, the double Wagner as well, which is rather interesting when we already equipped one of our weapons. I mean, Egister is guaranteed to have at least one Jade Spear currently in hand at top decking a Countdown, and also a Kindred. That will be very, very nice. And I believe the Fontaine Research Institute came off of Sir Arthur.
Yeah. No,
Or was the Forbidden Knowledge?
I think the forbidden knowledge actually was from the Sir Arthur, so they actually shuffled the forbidden knowledge in the opponent's deck and got the drawback from like the forbidden knowledge themselves, which is
I mean,
quite funny.
It is funny. The thing is, though, the Forbidden Knowledge won't matter for Paul Starhaven because you just go over onto the Xinyan, right? And then you burst, and it's as if the card never entered your hand in the first place.
Yeah, it's not that much of a drawback for them, but I don't even know if it will be a huge drawback.
Wait, and then now with Empty Hand,
Yeah.
we do 4 damage to overtax. Oh! Zhongli is forced to fall, but no dice remaining now. This is Yunjin's chance to shine.
Yeah, so Yunjin needs to win this round, but with the double Wagner setup, it doesn't even do anything. So yeah, they conceded, and yeah, they saw they couldn't really do much. The double Wagner didn't discount any weapons this time, so
yeah, I think maybe spent a little bit too much time on their other characters and just wasn't able to get the dice needed onto Yunjin. And ironically, their hand was too full to combo.
Yeah, the hand was too full, and it just seems like they drew the wrong ramp this time, since they basically just ramped with weapons, but not with any more extra dice. They needed this MMR, this NSC, and all those dice generating cards, but they didn't seem to draw it. Like, they had the Dune Wagner setup, they had this one leeway rest to push the dice to the next round, but where is all the other dice generation?
Yeah, it just did not come in time. They drew their cards in the wrong order, drew the weapons turn 1 instead of ramp, drew ramp turn 2 instead of weapons, and it unfortunately did not go their way, and Paul Starhaven was able to take it, but
yeah,
that is the end of round 4. Round 5 is coming soon, but we need a little bit of time to prepare the 5-0 match between Linux and our surprise guest, depending on whoever won the 4-0 match. So we're going to take a break, but we will be back soon. And we're back for round 5. Sorry for the long wait, guys. We had to do a little bit of admin stuff, and we are setting up our game 5 match for the 5-0. It'll be Linux and his opponent, who we have yet to see, but hopefully we'll get that revealed soon. I do apologize for the long wait, but we are hopefully going to be jumping into our matches soon.
Yeah, I think we will have a great 5-0 match, and will be pretty exciting to see which two decks will face off against each other. Like, I would expect from what we've seen from the statistic that it's probably gonna be something with Whale or maybe a Furina deck. So
Furina is actually a surprisingly high pick rate character. I mean, despite summons having fallen out of favor, she is like just a generally high value character. 2 applications of Hydro, right? And she also does 2 damage end phase if her characters are healthy. So it's a lot of damage, it's a lot of application, it's potentially as well a lot of aura. You might be able to do a double reaction if you already have a non-Hydro aura on the opposing end phase characters. So just a high value character overall.
yeah, so let's see. I mean, that would be the same for the beasts. Like you said, Furina has high value. The beasts have high value. I think all of the new characters just stepped up a bit in value. So I think
Like,
that's why we see them favored.
yeah, there's like a lot more dice in their kits just compared to the other characters, right? Because we look at Xiao and then we look at Wriothesley. Xiao has a 3 damage skill, and you get like 1 extra like dice if you swap him off for free, right, with his burst. And look at Furina, it's just not the same.
Yeah, we've seen quite a huge shift from just having good stats in the base kit, like 3 damage skills and just some extra, to just going to more of like just dice and card draw. So we've like seen a lot of dice reduction, dice generation in kits, and just some form of card draw styling with like what we had when Yelan released, where she actually drew cards, and now it's continuing with a lot of more characters that give you more additional effects and just do less damage.
Unfortunately, we won't see the effects of that this game. We are jumping straight into a match here. It will be between Linux and CVV. We're not seeing any of the new cards, though. It will be between Mew and Xingqiu OTK. A rather standard, like, cookie-cutter vanilla matchup we've seen so many times already in the Prince Cup Atlantic.
Yeah, we've seen that matchup a lot of times, and it seems like they found success with just decks that were from last patch. So
like I was talking to some of the players, right, and they felt like that Mew had a really good matchup into a lot of the other decks, right? They had a pretty great matchup into Yunjin because you can disrupt with the Eula freeze. Like it did really good into Apep decks because it needs so long to set up, and it does pretty good into Kaveh as well.
yeah, the Mona, I feel like, is one of the main factors that you just see these decks succeed right now. And yeah, let's see if Xingqiu can actually set up enough to get the freeze out pretty early.
CVV is on a phenomenal start right now. Chang, Sealy, like double Caverina and perfect dice to boot. This is as good of a setup as you could possibly want. The only way you could have possibly been better is if you had a Lumenstone mixed in there as well.
Yeah, a Lumenstone would actually be great. Also some ramp for later turns. Yeah, but let's see. Mona's skill will probably come through, and probably going to ramp afterwards. Probably a strat draw really huge here, spending the last dice.
Yeah, and I think probably his Xingqiu skill, that'd be really, really nice. We're going to set up the rain screen. It'll, like, mitigate a lot of the damage Wanderer wants to do, especially with the Thousand Flaming Dreams equipped. It'll make it so CVV's characters can survive just a little bit longer and potentially force Linux to spend just that tiny bit extra dice to take the lead.
Yeah, we draw the Lumen Stone a bit too late, but probably it's still enough to just play it next turn, and you're pretty happy with it.
We have 2 0 costs as well to proc that Lumen Stone, the Boar, and the Furina, plus whatever we can draw off the Chang and or Sealy, depending on how this matchup goes. CVV, I think, considering whether or not he just wants the Lumen Stone pass, I think it's an okay line to go for, but I think against a fast deck like Mew, who really will cripple you turn 2, you cannot afford to delay the setup.
Yeah, it's also on Linux to actually pressure all the characters with Wanderer next round, so we'll get to see if they will actually be able to just make sure that this Xingqiu doesn't do enough to just freeze maybe Wanderer next round with a fast swap, or
Does go for the rain screen again today. There's already Hydro application on Xingqiu, so it does not fear that self-application. But... oh, wait. We're going in for a turn 1 Wanderer skill. That's rather surprising. Like, typically Mew decks prefer to do the Mona skill and to pass on 5 dice with ramp on Mona, and then go in turn 2, right, with a weapon equipped, with your artifacts, with full setup. But going in a little bit early here, we're going to be unable to equip the Thousand Flaming Dreams on Wander. We're not going to have the extra dice for Liabin. We're not even have Lumen Stone prepared.
yeah,
I think that might have been a misplay from Linux.
it seems like Linux wants to go for the Wanderer burst onto this Chongyun, since the energy now is in favor of Wanderer. He will be able to get to the 2 energy once Xingqiu bursts, and with Calcs maybe trying to kill this Chongyun before they can even even skill.
Just the thing is, though, right? We delayed because we didn't take that time to set up our Wander. Even if we can kill Chongyun, we are still lacking a lot of pressure. Otherwise, there's a lot of damage missing because we don't have the +1 from the weapon. Or, like, we don't have the extra dice from from Liabin, and like, no instructors as well. Will be less dice to work with this turn.
Yeah, it will probably be 2 actions on Linux side, so we will see if those 2 actions will be able to maybe kill off a character, but you need to normal and burst the Chongyun to actually kill him. But maybe that's enough, actually.
It potentially it could be, but you also have to consider that even with that early Wanderer skill, we still won't have enough energy to burst on the Chongyun when CVV swaps over to him, right? Because we need 2 energy for that and no Calcs Arts in hand. CVV is still able to burst on Xingqiu and safely swap over, but it looks like CVV is instead opting to play Lumen Stone burst and then just passing on whatever he draws from the Lumen Stone.
I think he's most likely still going to Chongyun skill, but he needs to somehow fix his dice. Deciding if he wants to play this Boar Princess, commit a bit of dice this turn just to proc the Lumen and not get rid of Sunyata.
Something CVV might have wanted to consider. No, I guess then that would proc Lumen Stone. Maybe you could have Sunyata the Chang to play the Lumen Stone, but then you won't have enough 0 cost to proc. And our early Boar Prince is coming out. That's going to be -2 dice to work with on round 3 when CVV would like to combo in. Hopefully they draw something good off this Sealy, but we are also going to be forced to tune a card.
Yeah, deciding to actually play the Lyre now to get the Lumen proc and just get the dice, so they have Gilded in hand for for using the Lyre, so it is not wasted, but they
No, like,
probably wouldn't want it in normal circumstances to just commit so much on round 2 right now.
would have much preferred to keep it for next turn, but as you said, the Lyre Song isn't wasted. We can play the Gilded onto Chongyun to allow him to do an extra skill. So we do still get some value from it, but would have really liked to keep it just a little bit longer. The Wagner Lumenstone coming out now does draw into the Wolves' Gravestone. Golden House that will be a free equip onto Wanderer, unless we wish to equip Eula instead.
Yeah, but there is so much committed right now to this play.
Oh, we're just ramping.
We're probably need to see how we actually want to do this.
Wander fast swap. It will be the Thuzflowing Dreams onto Wander, and the punch onto Chongyun doing 5 damage. Oh, that's gotta hurt. And then now CVV can't swap to Chongyun. Wait, no. There's no aura. No, we can still safely swap to Chongyun and do a skill. Right? He'll live on 1 HP, but will die to a swirl. But that's okay, because we'll have Frostfield for next turn.
But
we even have the Leave It to Me in hand to guarantee that skill going down no matter what. But does CVV want to play it now, or do we perhaps save it for when Linux goes in for a freeze onto Eula?
No, I think he probably wants to save it since he sees Linux just committed so many dice to actually get like weapon and stuff that they don't have any dice to attack anymore.
And this is the problem with not ramping turn 1, right? Because we went for that early skill, we had to spend dice to equip Wander, we had to spend extra dice to swap over to him, we had to spend, like, we kind of just delayed another attack, a boosted attack as well. We trade a little bit of early damage for our late game potential, and we can kind of see it biting Linux right now.
Yeah, now Linux has to decide where to end on. If they decide to end on Wanderer, they could actually strategize here. Yeah, that's what they want to do. But still, next turn, they still don't have that many cards to actually make plays. And CVV has so many cards in hand right now.
The only thing CVV may need to worry about is if they end on Chongyun here after skilling, right? Like, Razor's gonna eat the brunt of the damage because of that win favorite. It allows Linux to attack the off-field character, chunking Razor all the way down to 3 HP, which is not where you want to be.
Yeah, but also we see Chongyun being able to freely skill, and with Linux just having like 8 dice plus some of the dice you can scrap by, I don't know if Linux will actually be able to just threaten anything at all next turn. These characters all look pretty healthy after Wanderer does anything.
I think Linux can get 3 actions, right? Because we now have that Instructors currently in hand. So we are able to hit 3 times. It's just like, is that 3 times enough for CVV to care about? Something to note, though, is that CVV has yet to have a chance to play Underwater Treasure Hunt. So there's no dice generation in hand right now because we just used our Lyre Song, and there's no HP currently in the hand of CVV.
Okay, this Lyre Song draw from Linux actually gives them a lot of dice for this turn, since they will be able to proc the Lyre, proc the Lumen, and actually will be able to generate 1 more dice. The Gilded equip and maybe some form of dice generation will be there, but it will probably not be enough to actually make a lot of attacks.
Here it is, though. This is the race to 0 HP. It is whoever can kill their opponent first. Both sides have gone as much setup as they possibly can at this point in time in the game. After Wander does a single hit, he will instantly get frozen. So after that, it will be between how Linux is able to utilize Mona's fast swap to continue onto their combo, and how CVV plays around that.
Yeah. The problem for Linux is they don't have a fast swap in hand, so if they don't draw a fast swap, they might not be able to freeze Chongyun before they can do a lot of draw here.
And once again, it is that disruption, the freeze. We were talking about this earlier. Because you're able to stop your opponent from doing what they want, it's an alternate win condition for you.
Yeah, but CVV has so many dice in hand. You can see like a Boar Gambler's Gilded. This Gilded will only cost zero dice, so just being able to use so much there is really huge for them. Oh, the Golden House draw gives them another dice with this Lyre, so Lyring the Gilded will give them 2 dice.
Oh, you're right, yeah, because Lyra would discount to 1, but because Guild is originally 3 cost, Golden House discounts that further, so it is another 2 dice in the pocket of Linux. But, I mean, here's the thing, right? The fast swap. We go over onto the Razor, and because we cleanse the Hydro Aura, Eula really can't freeze anymore. Well, I mean, even if she did, she just hits, kills Razor, and you can just go freeze her back onto Chongyun. I'm pretty sure that fast swap was more so to just proc the Lumen Stone. Does still need 2 more cards to be played right now, though. War Princess and the Kavarina. Okay. What are you drawing to? Oh, Treasure. That could be really big. Strategize in hand.
You could play Treasure. There are 9 cards left in the deck, so it's likely you will draw some of them later. Now probably playing the Gilded as well.
Sunyata as well.
Oh, Sunyata? The... Ooh.
I think Sunyata the Lumen Stone. Because Lumen Stone already used its proc for this turn. And we're going to win or lose this turn either way, right? And Chang could still draw us into more treasures. Playing the Strategize as well. Does draw the Treasure and the Cognitive Rock as well. That could be really, really big. And what we really want to see, though, is ideally a Minty Meat rolls.
Yeah, and actually, this Yaya, since you only need to discard this Gilded for 1 dice, although Yaya was nerfed, she still fulfills the role here, since it's 0 dice used to get the Gamblers for 0 dice.
Oh, and she's free to play thanks to Sunyata.
Yeah. Oh, another Yayoi, and we also get a bit more card draw.
It'll be the freeze onto Wander, put onto 3 HP. No fast swap in the hands of Linux just yet, so they are going to swap over to the Mona first in order to utilize that fast swap and hopefully get off another action. But
yeah,
I mean, the freeze is just so devastating. Like, that Wander burst is just a non-factor.
Yeah, we see the treasures in hand, so it's this Razor with the Rain Swords can even get out of Wolf's Gravestone range if they want to.
It's going to swap for now, though, for Linux. No matter what, after this, Linux will be able to guarantee at least 1 action onto the Eula because of that free fast swap. But does CVV want to skill here, or would they prefer a normal attack? Those would proc Chang.
Yeah.
The question remains, though, would we like to play our treasures now? 2 treasures will heal up to 5 HP, which is just barely within Wolf's Gravestone range.
Yeah, so although you have the range, protection from the Xingqiu skill, so you barely get out of the range.
You live on 1 HP, because Mona's skill with Gravestone does 5 damage.
Yeah.
Yeah, because she has no Grimheart, she doesn't do enough damage to kill you through Rain Screen and both treasures. I don't know if CVV realized this yet. Has played 1 treasure so far. And oh no, Razor's dead. I don't think CVV realized that double treasure plus rain screen was enough to protect Razor.
Yeah, although Linux, I don't think he can generate the 7 dice needed to swap and kill.
Oh, yeah, you're right. We already used our Wagner discount. Only 1 Golden House currently. That's not enough to discount the Wolf's Gravestone.
Yeah, you probably want to either play this Gilded for 1 now and hope for another Golden House.
No, we
Or-
already used 1 Golden House earlier. We don't have one left in the deck.
Alright. So you're just hoping for any extra dice, but... Oh wait, it actually is enough because of the Lumen proc.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
So you will be able to kill here.
Just barely. Yeah, just barely enough dice to skill onto the Eula with Wolf's Gravestone equipped. CVB punished for not playing around those breakpoints, and that does mean Razor Burst is unfortunately going to waste. But it's not over yet. Linux has no actions remaining. CVV has 3 treasures in hand, Gamblers as well. Like, there is still quite a few actions here. And as long as we can chunk down Linux enough, we could still make a comeback. But losing that Razor Burst is going to be so critical, because that's -2 damage on every single attack that we just don't have access to anymore.
Yeah. This Chongyun needs to somehow sweep this turn.
Yeah, because if we don't, we're just going to get double frozen by Eula. Like, there's still the Fresh Wind and Freedom to worry about as well. Wander Burst in the back pocket. The problem is, though, without that Razor Burst, do we still have enough damage?
You can certainly get some form of dice here. You can kill Eula with your Chongyun skill after Covenant, but is that even enough?
Minty Meat Roll's coming late. If we just had that earlier, I think the game was more in the bag. Drawing things a little bit too late as well. We do roll Cryo, that is good. Do one less thing to tune. The thing though is, if we play Treasure, if we do skill to kill Eula, we don't have the dice to swap off, and we are within range of Wanderer Burst, and then being left on Xingqiu solo is never a good thing. We'll lose out access onto the Chongyun Burst as well. And we don't have enough dice to go for a Gambler's Reset either, because we don't have enough... Oh wait, no, Yui lets us equip Gamblers for free. Hold on.
Yeah, you will be able to equip Mayoi, but... Is it enough to just kill Eula?
The question is, what comes after? Dunyazard, okay. Zateria. We have the Jet. Jet lets us get 2 actions! Hold on. The thing is, did we discard enough?
But you sadly just don't have the dice to play it even.
Oh, yeah, we already used the Dunyazard discount, you're right. We can't play the Jet, and even if we did, I don't think we've discarded enough companions in order for her to get 6 stats. Three Gamblers equipped thanks to Mayoi.
Yeah.
But what comes next?
You need to skill and swap off. Otherwise, Chongyun will just die to Wander next turn. Thinking about what to tune here.
Do the Mausoleum. Should just be a skill coming out, but Gambler's Reset as well. The Mona swap over. But no dice remaining to act again. We're just 1 dice short of winning this turn.
Yeah.
think just that Razor Burst, if we just played the double treasure, I think we had more than enough.
Yeah, probably not playing around the Eula Grimheart actually cost a lot of damage there, and now it's not a good sign from the Mew side as well, since they need to worry about the Chongyun burst, and as soon as you go to Wanderer, you're feeling a bit worried that they might just kill you, but
Oh, something that's quite critical right now is the Xingqiu rain screen. Wander on a swirl will do 4 damage on a skill, but because we have that rain screen, Xingqiu lives on 1 HP, which means that even if Linux had Fresh Wind of Freedom, he wouldn't be able to go chain a double kill with skill into burst on Wanderer.
yeah, but also now you need to think from Linux side, does CVV have a fast swap still in the deck? You already used one, and I currently don't know if CVV plays 2. So if Linux knows that CVV plays only 1 because it's open decklist, Linux is free to just swap Wanderer and skill. And CVV can't really do anything about it.
No, CVV most definitely can't, but like the problem right now though is that the Wanderer skill isn't enough to kill Xingqiu unless you burst, but if you burst you don't have enough damage for Chongyun.
Yeah, but
Oh wait, no, but you can skill into burst.
You
And
can
because you have no fast swap, Xingqiu normal attack isn't enough. And then alright, sorry, skill into normal attack.
yeah. Well, I think
Wait, no, but we're 1 dice short.
Yeah,
We're 1 dice short.
Linux used so much dice actually right there to dig for something that might not even be worth it. So, oh, the Liar might actually save him there.
I think the Liar does, because Liar gives you... No, it doesn't. Because we don't have Tamias down. Liar we pull back, right? We play for 1 dice, it gives us 2. No, it is enough.
Yeah, I think the Liar actually saved Linux there.
The top deck Liar song saves Linux.
Yeah.
1 in 9, because we played 1 earlier. From this point onwards, though, I think for CVV it is checkmate. We cannot win from this situation.
Yeah.
We played our fast swap. If we just saved our fast swap. Ugh.
I think CVV needed to tune a lot of cards here just to get Setaria to dig for some treasures, maybe.
I think you're right. Like, I think if we played our entire hand, we still have 1 treasure left, right? If we just found that second treasure, I think we would have had enough to win. The Setaria would have drawn us 3 extra cards. And maybe with that, it could have been enough to find our last treasure in the deck to take the victory over Linux, but I think Linux with the top deck Liar Song will be the one to take the game at the end of the day. Congratulations to him for going 5-0.
Yeah. Yeah, and congratulations. It was a very close match in the end. But very well played.
Like, just a difference of inches as we keep discussing, and sometimes you come up short. But great job to both players in keeping it as close as it was, and man, I think CVV just was able to find that treasure a little bit earlier, or maybe found their MMR before they used all their dice, or maybe if they played around the Gravestone skill on Eula, and by playing that second treasure, they would have had enough, but just CVV falling just a little bit short.
Yeah, we can just see the 1 HP coming there, it was just 1 HP short all of the time. And 1 more treasure would have probably done it.
But 1 HP is all that it takes to win, as long as your characters are alive and your opponents are not. The HP difference between the two does not matter, and it will be Linux to take it over CVV for our 5-0. But with that, that concludes our weekly for today. Thank you everyone for participating, and if you want to join a tournament like this, we're going to be hosting these every single week. Today, unfortunately, was the last tournament of the week, but next week, if you feel like joining, if you're a player in Asia and you would wish to join tournaments, we are hosting one at June 14th, 8 p.m. JST.
Yeah, and if you're not in Asia, but in Europe maybe, we can see you at June 15th at 4 p.m. CEST.
And if you're an American player like the players in the tournament today, you can join us on June 16th, 4 p.m. EDT next week. But that is going to conclude our tournament once again, as well as a shout out to our partners at KQM, the premier theory crafting community for Genshin Impact. And as 4.1 is here, you can build Chlorine and Sethos, and KQM is the best place to look at their guides.
Yeah, and if you want to join us in this new patch with the 9 new cards and also want to join our amazing community, as well as participate in tournaments, you can find us at discord.gg/GITCG. And this is your chance to make it to a grand event like this.
And we also run other events outside of our main tournaments, so be sure to check out our events channel if you do come over.
Yeah, and a big thank you to the staff on our side and the TOs for running it today. Redshift did really well soloing it today, so big thanks and big shoutouts.
And congratulations once again to our winner Linux, and a big thank you to all the players who have come and streamed their games to make our tournaments as entertaining as they are. We could not do this without you.
Yeah, and congratulations to our winner. It was really fun seeing him perform on such a high level.
If you want to take a look at the VOD of our tournament, you can find it on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/GITCG. And make sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification for other great tournaments and content as well. But once again, this is all for our NA 4.7 Week 1 Weekly. This is Sumi.
And this has been Binzu.
Thank you guys all so much for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.